Let me tell you something. If you want to be a software engineer, do not start any modeling and coding without understanding the functional as well as the non-functional requirements. So you have to understand what kinds of service the system should provide and what is its performance. So coding and modeling is nothing. The basic thing is here understanding the requirements of the system. So do not start modeling and coding before understanding functional requirement and non-functional requirements. Take it boldly. Don't forget that. So in today's episode, we have to discuss about the non-functional requirements and functional requirements because these are the roadmap for use case modeling. Use cases are extract from the functional requirement. So it's better to understand the functional requirement very well, unless and otherwise we cannot extract or trace any functional, so any use cases from a certain requirement. So let's start what is their definition is. A functional requirement is a specification of a software, or the functional requirements are the service of the software. So the software has expected services. Yeah, expected services. These expected services later on it will be the functions of the system. Yeah. So we have to know the functional requirement. Unless and otherwise, we cannot trace the functionality of the system. So the functional requirement directly related with the system building, or it determine what the system should provide. In the other case, a non-functional requirements involved indirectly in the system building. So most of the non-functional requirement determines the quality of the software or the performance of the software product. Or it will also indicate the hardware considerations and the software considerations. It will also indicate the security requirements and so on. So the non-functional requirement is a constraint on the operation of the system that's not related directly to the functions of the system. Understanding these two requirements very well, it will enables us to understand what functionality of the system will have or will represent this in use case modeling. If you know more about the functional requirement, it is easy to draw the use case modeling. So why we discuss it again here? Please underline this. Make it or take it as boldly to understand the functional as well as the non-functional requirements. For example, let's see a fragment requirement. From these requirements, we are going to extract the functional as well as the non-functional requirement from these natural language narratives. So this narrative is related with a transportation system. So according to this narration, let's say the user of the transportation system. So we have an actor that the user must be able to purchase a ticket. So this is a function. And the user be able to access tariff information. Accessing the tariff information or the system will enable the users to access a tariff information. So this is a kind of service which is provided by the system. The user must provide feedback. Quote here. The user must provide feedback. They will provide a feedback using the system's functionality. So this is also another function in less than 1 second. So this less than 1 second will show the quality of or the performance of the system, and the color used in the user interface be consistent with what? The company's color. As seen here, the companies or a certain company, that is the transportation system or the transportation company, will have its own standards. The company has its own standards, so the user be able to select those particular colors. So color interface use color interfaces. Yeah. So let's extract the functional and the non-functional requirement. First, let's determine what are the services of the system. So the service of the system, according to these narratives, will be what? One, the user be able to purchase a ticket will take a certain function. It is purchasing ticket. The second thing, according to these narratives, it says accessing or access tariff information. Access tariff information is another function or service provided by the system. The other thing, the user will provide their comments or their feedbacks using the system's function. So provide a feedback is another kinds of function. Totally, these are the functional requirements of the system. This is FR1, this is FR2, this is FR3. So we can say we can extract from the business rules. So according to these narratives, these are the functional requirements of the certain system. That's another thing. So here we have a certain functional requirements, and also we'll extract another non-functional requirement. These non-functional requirements will determine the quality of the performance of the system. Let's see. Here are the call of the system. Feedback less than in 1 second. This indicates the response time. Yeah, this less than 1 second indicates the response time. This response time is related with the non-functional requirement. The other thing, the user must use consistent color. Yeah, the user must use consistent color. So this is the non-functional requirement or the quality of requirement. From these narratives, we are going to extract this functional requirement. At the same time, we'll have such kinds of non-functional requirements. So everything from natural language analysis can be converted into, can be translated into functional as well as non-functional requirements. For you self-check, we'll have an example later on. So let's compare and contrast the functional and the non-functional requirements. As we discussed before, the non-functional and the functional requirements compare like this. So the functional requirement describes what the system should do. You know, when we say what the system should do, it is what? At the service. Yeah, it is the service. Or what is the function of the system? It's related with a specific function. Yeah, a specific function. Focuses on behavior or features of the system. We know that requirements are features of the system. So the functional requirement directly involved in system building. At same time, it determines or it focuses the behavior and the feature of the system. Define the actions and the operation of the system. Or it is related with user authentication, data input, output, transactioning processes. Totally, this indicates the service of the system or the expected function of the system. Whereas the non-functional requirement describes how the system should perform its function. It's related with the system's quality and performance only. Focus on performance of the system, usability of the system, whether the system is usable for the user or user-friendly or other quality requirements. For example, the response time, the CPU time utilization, and the memory space utilization defines conditions under which the system operates. So it's related with the system operating. What are the conditions? What are the criteria of the system? Or most of the time, the non-functional requirements are our design goals. So the non-functional requirement related with scalability of the system, security, response time, reliability, and maintainability about the system. Or most of the time, it's related with the software evolution. So this is what we call non-functional requirement. I hope you got a clue what are the main difference between functional and non-functional requirements. So here is your self-check. Will extract some of the functionalities and the non-functional and functional requirements in the next episode. During we will discuss about the use case modeling or the use diagram. So SatWatch is a wristwatch that displays the time based on its current location. SatWatch uses GPS satellite or global position system to determine its location and internal data structure to convert this location into a time zone. The information stored in the sat watch and its accuracy measuring time is such that the watch owner never needs to reset the time. Sat watch adjusts the time and date display as the watch owner crosses the time zone and political boundaries. For this reason, the sat watch has no buttons or controls available to the user. The SatWatch determines its location using GPS satellite and, as such, suffer from the same limitation as all other GPS devices. Example, enough to determine the location at certain times of the day in the mountainous regions. During blackout periods, that which assumes that it does not cross time zone or political boundary. SatWatch corrects its time zone as soon as a blackout period ends. SatWatch has two-line display showing on the top line the time, hour, minute, second, time zone, and on the bottom line, the date, day, month, and year. This display technology used in is such that the watch owner can see the time and date even more under popular light conditions. When political boundaries change, the watch owner may upgrade the software of the watch using the Wi-Fi watch device provided with the watch and a personal computer connected to the internet. So from this scenario, you have to understand the non-functional requirements for this sat watch. At the same time, you have to understand what are the functional requirements for this scenario. You have to check yourself. The answer will be in the next episode when we discuss about the use case modeling. Please don't forget that you can comment, you can write the functional requirement you traced from this non-functional from these scenarios, and you will compare and contrast with the next episode. Thank you so much.